On today's episode of the Ultimate Deck Podcast, we're talking about the top 6 game changers in the decking industry. Welcome back to another episode of the Ultimate Deck Podcast. I'm Shane Chapman here with my good buddy Wade Laurent.
I made it.
You did it.
Yep.
Is this your first one in the new studio?
First time in the new studio.
Holy smokes, what do you think?
I've been in here a lot, but this is my first time.
Yeah, make sure you drop some change in the donation box on the way out. This wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Today we're gonna hopefully enlighten some people. I think all the good builders of the world are probably aware of all of these things because they go out there and they do their own research and they figure this stuff out on their own. I just realized what I said.
Some of the bad builders will also know these
That's not
things.
to imply that if you haven't heard one of these things that you're a bad builder. Yeah. It's not saying that.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
Through my headphones, it sounded like...
If we get to number 4 and you're like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that. It doesn't mean you're shitty.
Bad builder.
Yeah. So anyways, what we're doing is like the decking industry is an old industry. It's been around a long time. But along the way, there's been some products that have really changed the game. And so we're talking about 6 of those today. There could be more. I'm sure there is more, but we're going to talk about the 6 that, off the top of our head, have made the biggest impact on the industry.
Yeah. I felt like we were going to do a count based off my left hand and only go with 4.5, but...
Right. Good thing we used my hands for that and got to 6 somehow. I got an extra one. You're one shy.
I glued it on.
Speaking of extra thumbs, did you hear this? We're going to get into like pop culture here a little bit. Did you hear that scientists in Australia or New Zealand are now saying that young people are growing horns on their head because of cell phones?
I saw this. And then the meme I saw was like, yeah, well, evolution.
It happens like, it's not like we didn't have horny teenagers running around before. No, it's just more literal. So
started in Aussie land.
This is getting way off topic, but it's probably just Australia. If I know Bruce, he's a little bit quirky. Yeah. It might just be a Bruce thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're developing like a little nub of bone behind their ear or something on their skull because their head's always tilted forward. And I don't know if the body's trying to balance things out by throwing some weight in the back of it. I don't know why. But they're saying
we should strap this thing down.
Yeah.
Extra little.
Their head's on a rocker. Let's weigh this thing down a bit more. So anyways, you got these horns growing. So that's your fun fact for the day from the news. Should we?
I don't know that we should be telling people that we're doing news.
Not what people are tuning in for.
Yeah.
Number 1. So this one's obvious. Number 1,
like to all the good builders.
But this is the biggest change in the decking industry probably ever, right? Composite decking, composite decking, PVC decking, maintenance-free decking as a whole, the plastic decking category. Obviously a giant game changer. This one is so obvious I almost didn't want to put it on the list, but it was like, well, no, hold on. Like before composite decking, there was nothing like it. Like that is the biggest game changer of all. So we can't leave it out. It has to be in here. If it wasn't for this one, it would have been a top 5, but we made sure that it was a top 6 so we could get this one included.
Yep.
Do you like composite decking?
Some of it, some of it I really like, right? There's some stuff I really don't like.
Oh, like what? Let's go. Let's sewer some people. Never mind.
Stuff that has holes in it that comes over water to us.
Oh, I see. No need to go further?
Sells at a box store for about $1.47 a lineal foot.
Fair enough.
Peels off with your fingernail.
There is certainly different levels of quality when it comes to composite decking. That's for sure. So, but yeah, we're talking about like obviously the big brand that people know is Trex. That's the big brand. We got TimberTech. We got Fibron. We're all familiar with composite decking at this point. It's been out for 20 years. But it's obviously a giant game changer from the days where you just did wood because that's what the option was.
Yeah, but even at that, so like I say, I don't like that product, but it still works amazing. Like it's still good. It's still a composite. you still don't stain it. You know what I mean? Like
there's just
from
levels
a DIY.
Of quality.
Yeah, from levels of quality, but it's still a it's still a no maintenance or a low maintenance product. So yeah,
fair enough.
It's composite.
Get it out of a Cracker Jack box.
Sure. Close enough.
Expect that level of quality. Nice execution. We have on number 2, structural screws. So what we're talking about here is the old way of attaching a ledger board to a floor, like a wood floor system, framing system, would be with lag bolts, like traditional lag bolts.
Yeah, galvanized, right?
There was nothing wrong with them. Nobody knew that they were a problem until somebody came up with a better solution. And then people were like, holy smokes, these are way better. I didn't realize that the other ones weren't any good.
Yeah.
But before, you had to drill like 2 holes, right? You had to drill one size hole through your ledger board, then you had to drill another size hole through your attachment point to make sure that you got the proper, like, I guess, tension or torque on the screw, whatever. Then you're sliding a washer onto it. You're either cranking these things in with a ratchet set by hand, or you're throwing it on an impact wrench and driving them, whatever. It's just a bit of a hassle. Then, and I shouldn't give GRK all the benefit here because I don't know that they invented them, but the idea of a GRK type fastener, which a lot of companies make them now, Simpson makes them, Fastenmaster, GRK, U2, you name it. There's a lot of these types out there, but they are self-cutting lag screws.
Correct.
Essentially. So no pre-drilling. You don't have to. They have a cutter on the end of the bit. And so you just throw them in a drill or an impact driver, start the screw, drive it. It's not going to split your wood out. It drills its own hole. The amount of torque and drawing power these things have is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like if there's ever a problem you have, you're like, oh, that wood's kind of dried out and twisted and nothing's pulling it together.
Can't seem to straighten it.
Try a GRK.
Yeah.
Like that'll pull it in there.
Yep.
So they're awesome. They're a game changer, undoubtedly.
Yeah, they're just faster, right? It's a little bit cleaner. Usually the head of them is, with Fastenmaster, they're kind of like black or gray, right? So they kind of disappear into the wood.
And they've got a built-in washer, right? They have a washer head on them, so
Yeah,
there's no more components. It's not like when you go to install one, you have to have the leg screw and the washer and a drill with a bit, and then another drill with a different size bit, and then a hex to drive it. Like you don't need all that. You just need one drill, the bit that comes in the box, and the screw. And
yep. Again, it wasn't like
amazing.
it was a problem. It was just
somebody did figure out how to do it better.
This is faster.
Yeah. Plus they're gold, which is infinitely better.
Yeah.
At least in GRK's case.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah, they're good. I'm a huge fan. We still get the odd person that comes in, hasn't seen them or heard about them. Yeah.
Slap.
Prepare to be amazed.
Wake up.
Yeah.
So if you're not using some sort of rugged structural screw, self-cutting screw, leg, bolt, something. The other thing too is that they're smaller, right? Like a smaller diameter version of one of these guys is the equivalent load capacity, shear capacity of a larger leg bolt.
Correct.
So they're just they're just better all around.
Like a 5/16 shank replaces a 3/8 lag.
Yeah, something to that effect, right?
Sure. Yep.
So number 3 on the docket here goes hand in hand with composite decking, and that is hidden fasteners. And we debated whether we should narrow this down to a specific type of hidden fastener, but we decided that no, like they're all pretty cool. No, they're all pretty good, right? So the initial product we wanted to talk about here, this could have easily been a number 3 Cortex plugs. Like that was the initial thought. Then we're like, no, you know what? When composite decking came out, so did biscuit style fasteners that worked with the grooves in the boards.
Yep.
Because when composite decking first came out, it didn't have that. You still screwed that old stuff down. So this was kind of a game changer in itself, the way you put the board down.
Yeah.
So
some people are still doing that face screw.
Yes. Boy,
You know.
I had a customer in the store today that they might do that. And it's pretty rare around here to screw down a whole deck, but sometimes it makes sense. But this is
why you would do that.
Yeah, so we had a fastener episode here. I should have looked this up, but a few episodes ago, maybe around episode 25 or so, that was all about fasteners. And so we went through the different types of fasteners, and for the most part, the majority of the items that were on that list were hidden fasteners of some sort. So we've got things like the Trex or the Fibron clips or the Simpson ebb ties or tire claws, all these grooved board fasteners. There's a wide variety of them on the market.
Mantis clips.
Like Mantis clips, Epay clips for hardwoods. Tons and tons of different options for those. Then there's the camo tool, which does the kind of toe screwing on the corners of the board.
Yeah.
That's a really good system.
Camo's also got a clip system now out too.
Yeah,
right?
a really good clip system as well.
Edge clip thing right now. Edge clip. Yeah.
And so that one seems to be gaining a lot of traction. It's a pretty cool take on the traditional biscuit style clip. It grabs the joist, holds itself in place. It's just cool that there's enough companies in this industry that are constantly trying to one up each other, and the benefit, the winner in all of this is the installers.
Us, because we get to sell it. Oh, yeah,
right.
The customers, right?
yeah. So, and then of course the one we were really thinking about when we put down hidden fasteners is the Cortex plug system. Fastenmaster developed this, for years and years. Woodworkers, carpenters were using wood plugs for all sorts of jobs, but they brought this to the world of composite decking. And your little kit comes with a bit that self-stops the screw at the proper depth.
Handiest. Yeah.
Comes with all
Stolen from
your
the
screws.
drywall industry.
Yeah,
for sure.
a dimpler essentially, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a whole bunch of little baggies of plugs that are cut from the exact decking that you're using. Like not the board that you, like not the one that's in your pile. Like they do this, but nobody comes to your house and drills them. They make it, point is if you have island mist decking, it's cut from island mist decking. And so you just take a little bit of effort to line those little plugs up. Or in this case, we've got this beautiful Decorator's Tundra on our desk here. You would actually, there's, you might not even be able to see them. There's plugs in the wall back here with this Decorator's Sierra.
Yeah,
so,
if you're just listening to the podcast, it'd be hard to see them.
Yeah, if you're just listening, but you can also so here's a good chance to foray into this and say that we're now posting these podcasts on YouTube as well. So if you are wondering what that plug looks like, you can't see it anyway. So even on the video, you can't see it.
We'll like zoom in, right?
Yeah, and like we've kind of slopped some of those, so maybe you could see them. But so hold on, pause 1 second. Intro, ad for our own stuff. Go to, if you're not subscribed to the pod, if you're listening to this right now on the podcast and you're not subscribed to the podcast, go subscribe to the podcast, because then you'll get a notification when there's a new one uploaded, which is weekly. So go do that. Plus, like, we get a little excited when new people sign up and subscribe. So, and then also do the same thing for the YouTube show. This is more for us than
I
you.
just live for followers.
Go to YouTube, look up the Ultimate Deck Shop or Deck Show. It'll come up either way, but the actual address is youtube.com/the Ultimate Deck Shop, and subscribe to our channel on there as well. We're just going to start putting these podcasts on there so you can see how goofy we look when we're doing this.
I'm going to work on a new hairdo.
And now we actually have to wear proper clothes instead of just going like shirts and skins when we're doing when we're doing the podcast.
Who's doing the intro? I am.
Yeah.
All right, shirt off. Here we go.
So go subscribe to us on those platforms, please. Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. The plugs are cut from the same material. So if it was this Decorator's Tundra board that we're using here, you'd have Decorator's Tundra plugs. You line up the little grains depending on how OCD you are. And if you're not OCD about this, then why are you doing the plugs? The goal is to try to get them to match and hide the best. So take the time to do it.
I've always found that I'm super OCD for the first 100.
Yeah, then it's just like whatever.
Then I'm less OCD and more like, I want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you start popping. That's when you give somebody else to do.
Right. Hey,
Jeff, guess what you're doing for the rest of the day?
You get 100 plugs.
100 plugs. Number 4 is rain management systems. So before these existed, you just got wet underneath your deck.
Yeah, or you did vinyl decking.
That came out before these other systems did for sure. So you might have to do like a Duradeck type product.
Weather deck, deck tech.
Yeah, so
Smart
some
deck.
sort of like you're going to put linoleum on your deck. That's what's happening here.
Thick linoleum, though, right? It's like,
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
good, thick stuff.
It is what it is. It was functional. It kept water off. I hate those systems because they just, like, to me, they don't look very good. And because of the pitch of the deck required to have them actually drain the inch over 6 feet, I feel like you're going to roll off it when you're sitting in the lawn chair.
Yeah,
You
it
can
makes all
feel
your
the slope.
Railing kind of crooked,
Railing's
too.
goofy.
Right?
Ugh.
Spacing between your glass. Like if you do railing that has glass panels in there, it's like...
Yeah. So the systems that we like solve that problem, solve both those problems. Because one, you can use whatever deck board you want. You don't have to go with linoleum. It doesn't have to be extension of your kitchen's floor from the 80s. It could be, you could put down Trex board on top of it, or a decorator's board, or a fiber, like whatever. Choose whatever board you want. You could put on a treated board on top of it if you want, but you put in this gutter system over top of your joists, put your deck boards on top, water falls through your deck boards, gets caught in the troughs, and the troughs underneath are what creates the pitch. So you don't have to slope your deck. You can build a perfectly level deck if you want.
If you're a good builder.
If you can. I should have went with can right from the start. If you're capable of building a level deck, this system's great for you.
Yeah.
The most notable one that people are going to be familiar with is Trex Rain Escape. That's kind of the big brand one, and it's exactly how I described it. It's troughs that get stapled to the top of the joist. You droop them between the joists to create that slope. The water gets caught in it, runs down them, dumps into these buckets, these like deuce corner hats, like, and then that dumps into
How is that again?
Yeah. Good thing we're on YouTube now. That dumps into a gutter, like just an eaves trough. And then you divert that water to wherever you want. Another system out there. So Trex, that one's really good if you're building a brand new deck because it goes on before your deck boards.
Yeah, top-down system.
Let's say, ooh, I like that. What's the other one? Bottom up.
Retrofit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
The other one we're referring to.
So lots of guys are also doing the EPDM system, right? So
yeah. So there's also
guys in the States.
DIY solution, like make your own solution, which is similar to Rain Escape by using an EPDM membrane, cutting it into strips, using a flashing tape from like Grace Vicor, whatever butyl-based, asphalt-based gooey tape you want to use.
Yep.
I feel if you're watching on YouTube, there was a lot of this
Yeah, it's like French
going on.
Nearly.
Yeah, if you're on the podcast, you're missing out right now. So the other system that we like is the TimberTech dry space system that actually mounts to the bottom of the joist. So benefit for the Trex one is that it goes over top, keeps the joist dry.
Yep.
Period. So it like also provides that benefit, side benefit. It'll make your joist last longer. The TimberTech dry space one is great for retrofit applications because if you've already got a deck on, you can't then go put Rain Escape on without taking all your boards off. So then you could go underneath, mount it to the bottom of the joist, and then works the same ways, like these panels that catch the water, run it down, dump it into a eaves trough. Same idea.
Slope is created in the cavity.
That's right.
Pitched.
And so that system also gives you a finished soffit look underneath the deck. You have like a white or bone color, there's like an off-white colored soffit now. That's kind of gives it a more complete look. There's also some other ones, right? If you've been to the shows, and the names are going to escape me now, but there's other bottom mounted
So the one
systems.
I thought I liked the most was that Under Deck Oasis.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good one for sure. Deck Drain with a DEK. Deck Drain is one, I think it's a Canadian company. It's similar to like the EPDM solution. Similar, like there's a few of them out there. Do some work, right? If you are a Decorators fan, there's Decorator Decks Are Dry. I'm a little bit more torn on that one. That one kind of changes the whole like way you got to frame the deck. So it's maybe not as, it's super simple to install, forces you to face screw it. That's not true. They have the nailing flange one now too. But anyways, look into that one. It slides into the grooves of the deck boards, and it's supposed to create like a watertight seal between the deck boards, but you still have to pitch your deck to get it to drain off with that system.
Correct.
So it's a little bit
possibly
different.
Yeah, you possibly have to strap your deck if you want the decking, right?
Because you want the
ledger
decks.
to the house.
Yeah, your boards then have to run perpendicular to the house as opposed to parallel like would be normal. So therefore, you either have to frame the opposite way, or you've got to frame it and then strap it the opposite way to get the boards running away, and then pitch it.
Yep.
It's neat, but I have no experience with it personally. Number 5 is, I love this one. In my own personal deck building career, this is probably the one that I adopted this and the plugs, in the middle of my career that I was like, holy smokes, that's a good one. That's a game changer. And that's helical screw piles. Man, depending on the market you're in, these are lifesavers.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of these when I first found out about them. Right, you had told me about it. You're like, you got to try these piles. These things are the craziest things. You're gonna love them. And I was, because it's an industry of old school. It's like, yeah.
And you were older than me, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that the concrete piles were the way to do it. That's what you do. Piles go in, deck goes on top of that. And the first one, I don't know when we use that, but you did a deck for me. Possibly a Buffalo Pound.
Nope, that was a concrete one. I remember that. Because whoever drilled it missed the hole. It wasn't a perfect placement.
Yeah, well,
awkward.
And you're a good deck builder, so I just put it beside the
fixed
pile there. Yeah.
So we mounted to the side of the pile.
Yeah, you cantilevered off, and
yeah. No, it hit, but
anyways.
So these are, if you're not familiar with them, because some markets wouldn't be, and some markets these might not make sense. Like the cost is probably still an issue in some markets. In our markets, it's unbelievable, and I'll explain why in a second. But what these are standard length seems to be 10 feet, but there's some, like you can get them in 7-foot lengths. There's different lengths you can get. In our market, 10 foot's pretty standard. It's a galvanized...
Because of the frost line.
Yeah, 10 feet's good for the frost line, yeah. So it's I guess sometimes galvanized, not necessarily, but they're a steel pipe, somewhere around 2 3/8 to 3 to 3.5 inch pipe with a flight on the bottom, a big helix, a big screw on the bottom, and they get driven in hydraulically into the ground. So it's literally a screw.
Yep.
And that screw drives into the ground hydraulically, gets to its final destination, and once it's down there, acts as both a spread footing in a way and as an anchor. So like it's not like, in order for it to go deeper, it has to turn, and in order to turn, you need an incredible amount of torque. So it's not like it's it's very, very hard for that to sink because it's torqued up so high in the ground, and it's not going to pull out. You've got a 10 or 12 inch plate in the ground acting as an anchor, and then you got 10 feet of soil above it. It's not going anywhere.
Yep.
So it's really, really great for supporting load and for like wind resistance, uplift resistance.
Yep.
So they're incredible. Like the benefits over concrete.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's start. One, more effective against frost. So all you have to do is get below your frost line, right? If your frost line's 7 feet, if you get a helical pile to 8 feet, you're good.
Yep.
Most of the people listening right now just said, holy shit, who gets 7 feet of frost? We do.
Yeah.
You might
and the
get
people
2
in
feet.
Edmonton.
Yeah.
And some people in Winnipeg.
Yeah. But point being, I guess if you're in a market that got 1 foot of frost, well, a 2 foot one would work great then. So the frost isn't going to grab the side of that smooth pile. And even if it did, it can't pull it up because of the anchor at the bottom of the pile that's anchoring it there. So it's very, very stable in the soil. It drives in without mess. Like it displaces hardly any soil whatsoever. So as opposed to digging holes and having this mounds and mounds of dirt that you then have to dispose of somehow, these drive in clean, no mess. And then once they're in, you start building.
Yeah, no downtime, no waiting for it to cure.
Nope. It's just fast. Like, and it takes like
the cleanup
for a 10-foot one's probably 3 minutes per pile.
For me, the cleanup was the part that really got me.
Yeah.
Right. When we used to do concrete piles, and then you'd have all this excess material laying in the yard, and so you either wheelbarrow it out or you have somebody come with a machine and pick it up. Even if the concrete pile was $20, $40 per pile less, you still had to manage that material. And I was like, well, this is a huge pain in my ass. Like, I don't want to deal with this stuff.
And in our market, that's a bigger issue than some. Like if you're in California and you're digging your footings 12 inches deep, well, who cares? You can toss that in the garden and spread it out. And nobody's going to notice it was ever there. But in our market where, like, for example, that one we just referenced that you did a concrete pile there years back for me, I think you went 14 feet deep on that one or something. Like piles up here are insanely deep. Like houses are built on 18-foot deep piles because you got to essentially double your frost line to create enough like resistance to upheaval, as it's a tug of war between the frozen ground and the non-frozen ground. So you got to have a lot of pile into the non-frozen ground to resist the upheaval. So when we dig a hole up here, first of all, we're not digging it.
No.
You bring machinery in to dig the hole, and then you've got like 2 yards of clay that you pulled out of a hole, and you're not shoveling that away. You need more machinery. Like, it's just a nightmare.
Yep.
And then because you're going so deep and dumping so much concrete into the hole, the cost of them is $300, $400, $500 for a concrete pile that's drilled to a proper depth.
Yeah.
So, and a
rebar and then
helical screw pile is $300.
Yep.
So like the cost is no more. It's way faster. It's way more efficient. There's less disturbance of soil. There's no mess. There's just like you build on it immediately. Like everything about them is amazing. If you're in a market where you have, you're on bedrock and you're not gonna be able to drive these things, but you've also got stable soil. You don't need to go super deep. You just have to hit bedrock. Like some markets that don't have frost or have lots of rock in the ground, these aren't great for. But if you're in a clay, sandy soil, whatever, some sort of soil like market with frost, then they're unbelievable.
Yeah, I think if I had any sort of rock in the ground, like if I lived in an area that had a lot of rock, Vancouver, you get out on the coast, that'll do it.
Yeah.
If you're near water, these are probably not for you. Right?
Yeah. So. But they can go deep, right? Like there's been times here where either due to some because they don't use these just for decks, they use them for buildings and for solar panels and for like grade beams and all sorts of things.
Sheds.
Everything.
Barns.
We've talked to our installer before, they've put them in 40, 60 feet deep. And they just keep putting extensions on until they get low enough to hit the torque. So if you're putting some sort of massive building on it that requires 10,000 pounds of torque, well, you just keep going till you hit it.
Yeah.
So pretty cool system. Some of the big brands out there, there's lots of franchises out there now. Ironically, a lot of them are Canadian. Maybe not ironically, maybe that's because we have frost, so they make more sense in the Canadian market. But Post-Tech is a big one. That's who we like to use a lot. Techno Metal Post we've used as well. Goliath, those are probably the top 3 brands, but there's lots of them out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, those
There's
are
some,
game changers.
Pushback by the engineers too on those, right? And we've had some engineers that don't like them. So then, well, you're going to use a 3.5 inch pipe and you're going to do it 18 feet deep and whatever. But it still ends up being a faster solution than concrete pile.
Like any new product, there's a period of time when people just need to get comfortable with things.
Yeah.
Like you yourself took a little bit of time to get used to them. So engineers too, because it's their neck on the line when they stamp something. It's like, I know that a concrete pile is going to work. And
have you ever read sort of the stuff they write after they stamp it. Basically, the rate, no matter what happens, it's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm going to over-engineer the crap out of this thing to the point of being ridiculous. But then even if that doesn't work, it's not
really my fault.
Not my fault.
Because like I said, just kind of like this.
Yeah.
Stamp, not my fault.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That's a great job.
Yep.
Number 6. Aw, we're already at the end.
That's okay.
Number 6 wouldn't have been on my list if it wasn't for Sean from Premier Outdoors making a video on Instagram the one day saying like, holy smokes, you guys, I just used aluminum railing for the first time. Or maybe it was just surface mount aluminum posts for a composite rail. I don't remember. But it was first time using a surface mount post. And he's like, this is unbelievable. What are we doing? Like, why hasn't anybody told me about this before? And so because of that, I was like, wait, not everybody knows about this stuff? Well, this is a game changer.
Surprising to me. So this happened to us when we were in Baltimore and we were talking to Stan and Mike, right? Mike, he's with Kugan.
Stan
now?
from Level Home Improvements.
Stan.
I've always got to fill in. Wade always just sends names.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast,
Sorry.
remember? Stan from Level Home Improvements on Instagram. And who? Who else? Mike from Morris Decks.
Morris Decks.
Is he still alive?
Yeah. I saw a post the
good.
other day. He's got a puppy. They have a golden retriever. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. I wonder
Who's
if he
he
listens to this or if he just listens to
He's
like
with the building.
Trim and Molding Alexandria podcast or something.
Must. Anyway, so they were talking to us about aluminum railing. They're like, what is this stuff? How do you guys use it?
Yeah.
How do you sell it? Right? Do people actually think this stuff is good? It's like, we don't care what people think. It goes in so fast.
Yeah,
Which is not true, but it was just like, it installs so slick, right? And it is durable. It lasts longer. It doesn't ever twist or warp. I've never had somebody in a year and a half call me back and be like, yeah, my post twisted. Well, yeah, that'll happen if you use pressure treated or cedar, right? And you slide a sleeve over top of it.
So our market's very dominated by aluminum surface mount rail. But the nice thing is that even the composite rails now have a surface mount sleeve, like
it's like a fence post.
Yeah, surface mount steel post with collars on it for mounting your post now. So that's also awesome. So the old way of like dropping a post into the framing, blocking, bolting, maybe gluing is still fine.
If you're a good builder.
Yeah. Or just putting it with a couple deck screws hanging off your rim joist. This way is just much more convenient because when you go to lay your decking, you don't have to worry about notching around the post. That's one nice thing about it. You don't have to spend the time bolting and blocking in this post, so that's nice too. You just get to frame your deck, put in some extra blocking where the posts are going to go, deck the whole thing as if nothing was going on it.
Yep.
And then you go around afterwards and just surface bolt your post down. Like every post has a plate on it with 4 holes. You just back to those rugged structural screws, use some sort of lag screw or GRK type system, whatever. Bolt the post down, use a couple shims to plumb it up. Bob's your uncle.
It's so slick.
So it's so much nicer than dropping into the framing and notching around, blah, blah, blah. And then to your point, stability. Like it's just like, it does not twist, warp, anything like a wood post would or could.
It doesn't rot out because you know you have so where you put all of this blocking and your 4x4 in there, that's a moisture trap.
Common rot area.
Right?
Well, probably number one
And
of
so
all the
then
places to rot.
Yeah, your drunk Uncle Bob that you were talking about is over and he lands into the railing and poof, down it goes. That's where it fails.
Yeah. So this aluminum stuff, like, pretty rare to have an issue with it. I don't know.
Do we use it on treated lumber here?
Do we use what on treated
aluminum railing? So did you know? You must have known this, or you heard about it.
That it can corrode?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's powder coated, so it wouldn't. Like you could put it on. So yes, bare aluminum would react with the copper in the treatment of the lumber.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all this aluminum's powder coated, right? So there's a barrier.
Yeah, unless it's scratched. That never happens. So, anyways, I was just thinking about it.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
Right now, like I should edit this. It's going to take me too much time. But on the YouTube version, I should have the NBC, like the more you know star just come whipping across the screen here. Da, 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 da.
Yep.
Anyway, sure, bare aluminum could react with some types of treatment if that have copper in them. That's a possibility. But that's like because it's powder coated, there's a barrier there.
I wonder if that has something to do. I wonder if Regal's plate is not aluminum, because so sometimes you'll see these posts where there actually seems to be a bit of like rust around the plate. And I'm not saying it's Regal's plate that's rusted. I'm just saying, like, I know for sure that their plate is fastened separate than their post, right?
Yes, it's screwed onto the bottom.
So I wonder if that's a steel plate or not.
Anytime that I've seen rust on those posts, it's usually coming from the fasteners, I think, because like the screws are still steel, right? Like the leg in the plates would be steel. The little self-tapping screws would be steel.
Yeah.
So it could be from that too.
Could be.
Anyway, the moral of the story is surface-mounted railing posts are way better than ones you have to block into your framing.
Game changer.
That's the game changer right there. There's lots of brands. Regal's the big one. Regal Ideas, Century, Westbury, Fortress. Star, ProBuilt, on and on and on. Like there's tons and tons of them. Vista,
Who,
whatever.
what? ProBuilt?
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them.
Anyway, that's the 6. Do you have any, like, that was the 6 we wrote down. Do you have any bonus ones?
I don't know. We talked about hideaway screens. It didn't make the list.
Didn't make the list, yeah. Probably not a game changer. Wicked cool product, though.
Yep.
Like, gaining a lot of traction right now. Game changer, maybe not. Like, it's not like something... Like, I think all of these other things we just went through are things that people would use, like, they would use them religiously now. Like, once you've gone to a GRK from a leg bolt, you're not going back to a leg bolt.
Correct.
Once you go to aluminum surface-mounted railings, you're probably not going back the other way. Once you go highway screen, you might still do other types of railing. It's just a nice option. So that's why we
might still do a cedar privacy wall if your customer wants it. But if somebody says, I just need a really fast solution, this is it. Boom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know what else was game changers.
We talked about maybe like G-tape or the idea of taping joists, but again, maybe not a game changer because it's not like mass adoption of it. You know what I mean? But that said...
And people have been doing it for a while. I talked to some old guy the other day. He came in, the story was... Like, I don't know. He might have been 70, 65.
What's that with the exchange rate?
Yeah, same, I think.
That he would still be 75 in the States?
Still be 75 in the States. Like,
I'll
live
figure
a
that
little.
out someday.
His skin wouldn't be as weathered because winters are a little bit softer.
Right,
But he's
yeah.
still like...
Okay.
But they drink more down there, probably, right? Like the tequila, there's more tequila in the States, so you might be more pickled. So it's still wrinkled up.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was using tar paper.
Yeah, that's what I started with it.
Like from forever ago. He's like, I built my deck, 60 years ago. What? Yeah, and it still lasted, like, because I put tar paper on there, and the joists, they're good. I'm going to use them again. No, you're not. Yeah, for real. And anyways,
that was the initial concept, right? When
he ended up changing the joist, but
I didn't start building decks 60 years ago like him. But let's say like 8 or 9 years ago, I was using tar paper. You used to be able to get little 4-inch rolls of tar paper for that purpose. Like I can't remember who made it, but it was just tar paper. You'd staple it on. That's what I first started using. Then I moved on to products like Blue Skin and eventually Joist Guard, which again, you didn't know there was a problem with them until you used G-tape. This is another evolution thing where it's like, this stuff's great. It'll, whatever. And it's like, it was just like, oh, it wrinkles in the sun and it's really sticky and shitty to deal with. That was just all how it was. It wasn't
I can't
a problem.
Get the plastic off the back? No problem. I'll staple it down because I've already been doing that with the tar paper that I paid half as much money for.
Yeah, and then G-tape came along and you use it and you're like, oh, game changer. But
for good builders.
Just for like from product to product. For good builders, yeah. Maybe not the
I'm not
entire
going to let
industry.
that go, I don't think.
Yeah. Anyway, the idea of taping joists or beams or flat blocking, pretty good idea.
Pretty good idea.
There's lots of, like everybody's doing it now. The industry has decided it's game changing because everybody's copying it now.
Yep.
Like you had these tapes from Joist Guard and Vicor and whatnot and these tar paper options and then you had G-tape and now you've got like Trex Protect tape and TimberTech's.
got one, right?
Yeah, got their tape. Everybody's got a tape now, right?
Or whatever their company's called.
Yeah, I think it's TimberTech today.
Is it TimberTech?
Still TimberTech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, exactly. That's what I mean.
Like I guess because like it's AZAC, but like, yeah, okay. I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
Because
TimberTech is like the decking branch of AZAC building products.
Right. Who makes it? CPG makes it.
No, they're not called CPG anymore either.
They should.
They're called AZAC.
The other one that didn't make the list that we talked about was bending deck boards.
Yeah, we did talk about that. We talked about the idea of bending deck boards being a game changer. We were trying to keep this to like products that were game changing, and we're like, oh, is the equipment that does the bending game changing? I don't know. Like the equipment was just kind of morphed out of another industry, the airline industry.
Well, that one Hecon is, but Trex made an oven, and so then I think we decided maybe it was the service So then it's not game changing because I don't know.
That one's tough because it's like it's overdone a bit too. It's like game changing, but that doesn't need to be on every job. And like some people are pushing it onto every job. But it is like that's a game changer for the decking industry because now you can do things you couldn't do before. Right?
Correct.
Like there's projects out there that are being built that were not possible before the idea of heating up and bending decking.
Yep.
Before those kits existed and whatnot, people were they had their own rigged up systems with a sono tube and a propane heater at one end. They baked a board inside of this tube, but it was a little bit risky. You melted more than you successfully curved. But as a result of people doing that and that catching on, some companies are like, oh, hey, we already make heat stuff. We could do this.
Yeah.
Formalize that a little bit. So that's one. So there we go. We got 6 plus 3 optional ones. Let us
stop there. Yeah, stop
boy.
at 9.
Well, I just heard a beep on my phone. It's probably my wife wondering where I am. So
hi, dear.
this
How are things?
Seems like a great.
You having fun with your
spot to stop.
podcasting thing you do?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah.
The most fun.
The most. So let us know. Is there anything on this list that you weren't doing already? Because I want to know who the bad builders are.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I'm just curious. Like, are all these things well-known things? 'Cause to me, these all seem like game changers. They're all relevant in this market, but every market's different. Maybe in some markets, they don't even know what a screw pile is, or maybe they haven't gotten into surface mount aluminum rail systems or something.
Yeah. Or they have bones growing off the backside of their head.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I heard them called? So you know what they're calling those things? Phone bones. Like, that's fantastic.
What?
Hey, you got a little phone bone there?
Yeah. Oh, it would just nip that little phone bone off.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's going to eventually, like, turn into a bit of a hook for a full, like a phone holder. You got
That
a little
would be
bone spur out, and you
sweet.
can just rest your phone there, no hands. Yeah, you got hands-free calling.
Yeah. Oh boy, I hope I live long
Should
enough
we
to
end
see
this?
the hand phone,
Yeah, that'd be good.
the phone bone.
Hit us up on Instagram. Our handle is The Ultimate Deck Shop. So if you're going to give us some feedback, we always post about these too, so feel free to leave comments in the posts that we make about the podcast, or send us a DM. Let us know if any of these little items we just went through are game-changing for you. And if you have some that you're like, holy smokes, like this is a game changer that I clearly missed and it's in my market, we'd love to hear about it, because maybe we could do a part 2 in this and add 6 more that we weren't even familiar with ourselves. So that'd be great too. If you like Twitter instead, just hit us up on Twitter and tag us in hashtag The Ultimate Deck Podcast. And what else? Go to YouTube. Please go to YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on the podcast. That's it for me. Wade, anything else?
Nope, I have nothing else.
Good. Next week, we're going to do an interview. I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't want to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, your stuff is boring.
Yeah. Next week, we're going to do another interview. So if you are interested in being interviewed on the podcast, or
do you have that lined up already?
I don't have it lined up already. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get somebody.
Sorry.
Or if there's somebody you want to hear from. So if there's anybody out there who's sitting around being like, why haven't they asked me yet? Because we're not really asking people directly ourselves. We want to hear who people want to hear from. So I want you to either reach out to me and say, hey, I'd like to be on the podcast, or, hey, can you really interview so-and-so? Because I'm super interested in hearing what they have to say.
Yeah, call this guy.
Yeah, so hit us up with those suggestions and we'll try to make that happen. And until next week when we do this all again, thank you from me.
And me.
Have a good week, y'all. Thank you.